The colony ship broke apart like a toy in a child's angry hands. Metal screamed as the hull tore open. Fire bloomed in the darkness of space. Inside, Hana grabbed onto anything she could reach. Her fingers slipped on smooth metal. The ship spun. Her stomach turned. Everything went black. When she opened her eyes, smoke filled her lungs. She coughed hard. Pain shot through her left leg. The emergency lights flickered red and orange. Around her, people shouted. Some cried. Others called out names of loved ones. Hana tried to stand but fell back down. Her leg would not work right. The ship had crashed. That much was clear. But where? The mission was simple. Take 500 colonists to a new world. Start a fresh life on a planet far from crowded Earth. But something went wrong. The navigation systems failed. They dropped out of hyperspace too early. And now they were here. Wherever here was, Junho appeared through the smoke. He was an engineer, strong and practical. Blood ran down his forehead, but he ignored it. He pulled Hana to her feet and let her lean on his shoulder. "We need to get out," he said. "The fuel cells might explode." They moved through the broken ship. Metal groaned above them. Sparks fell like deadly rain. Other survivors joined them. They pushed through a torn opening in the hull and stumbled outside. The air hit Hana first. It was hot and dry. It smelled like sulfur and ash. The sky was orange and red, with 3 small moons hanging low on the horizon. Black mountains rose in every direction. Rivers of glowing lava cut through the landscape like wounds in the earth. "Where are we?" someone asked. Nobody answered. Nobody knew they counted survivors. 207 people made it out. Less than half. Hana felt sick but pushed the feeling away. She was a linguist. She studied languages and communication. Her job was to help the colony communicate with any native species they found. She never imagined she would need those skills so soon. The survivors set up a basic camp near the crashed ship. They had emergency supplies, water purifiers, medical kits, solar panels, but their long-range communicator was destroyed. They could not call for help. They were alone on this strange volcanic world. 3 days passed. They explored the area around the crash site. The planet seemed empty. No plants, no animals, just rock and fire and ash. Hana helped where she could, but her broken leg slowed her down. Yunyo made her a crutch from a piece of the ship's framework. On the 4th day, everything changed. Hana was sitting alone near the camp's edge. She was trying to write in her journal. Her hands shook from shock and exhaustion. Then she felt it. A presence. Something watching her. She looked up. At first, she thought her eyes were playing tricks. The creature was massive. It stood on 4 legs as thick as tree trunks. Its body was covered in scales that gleamed like polished obsidian. Wings folded against its back, each one large enough to cover their entire camp. But it was the head that made Hana's breath stop. The creature had a long snout filled with teeth like swords. Eyes the color of molten gold stared at her with clear intelligence. A dragon. She was looking at a real dragon. Hana knew she should scream. She should run. But she could not move. The dragon moved closer. Each step shook the ground. It lowered its enormous head until it was level with Hana. She could feel heat radiating from its scales. It smelled like burning metal. Then something impossible happened. The dragon spoke. Not with words. Not with sound. It spoke directly into her mind. "What are you?" The voice was young, curious, not threatening. Hana's heart pounded, but she forced herself to think clearly. "I'm human," she whispered. Then louder. "I'm human. My name is Hana." The dragon tilted its head. The gesture was almost cute despite the creature's enormous size. "I am Taejin. You fell from the sky. Why, our ship broke. We crashed. We did not mean to come here. Ship? A machine. For flying. For traveling between stars." Taejin sat back on his haunches, his tail wrapped around his body. Hana realized he was trying to make himself look smaller. Less frightening. It did not work very well. Other Keth say the Skyfallers are dangerous, but you seem small. Weak. Your leg is broken. Keth? Hana asked. "My people. We are Keth. This is our world. Drumath other dragons existed. This was their planet." Hana's mind raced. First contact with an alien species. This was supposed to be carefully planned. Teams of experts, protocols, safety measures. Instead, it was just her. A linguist with a broken leg talking to a dragon. "We mean no harm," Hana said carefully. "We are lost. We just want to survive." Taejin studied her for a long moment. Then he looked at her journal. The book lay open on the ground where Hana had dropped it. What is that? A book, a journal. I write in it, right? Yes, I make marks that represent words, thoughts, so I can remember them later. Taejin leaned closer to the journal. His massive eye examined the pages. Hana could see confusion in his gaze. The marks have meaning? Yes, each symbol represents a sound. Sounds make words. Words make meaning. Show me, Hana hesitated. Then slowly, carefully, she picked up her pen. She turned to a blank page. She drew a simple circle with rays coming from it. This means sun, she said. She pointed at the orange sky. Taejin's eyes widened. He looked at the symbol, then at the sky, then back at the symbol, the mark. Captures the sun? Not exactly. It represents the sun. It's a way to talk about the sun without the sun being here. Magic, Taejin thought. No, not magic, just writing. The dragon stood up. He began to pace back and forth. His tail lashed with excitement. Keth have no marks, no writing. We speak mind to mind. We share memories. But memories fade. The old ones forget. Stories are lost. If we had marks, marks that capture meaning. Taejin stopped pacing. He looked at Hana with an intensity that was almost frightening. Teach me. Teach me to make marks. Hana stared at the dragon. This enormous creature wanted to learn to write. The idea was absurd. Dragons did not write. They were animals, beasts, but the intelligence in Taejin's eyes was undeniable. He was not an animal. He was a person. A thinking, feeling person who happened to have scales and wings. It will be hard, Hana said slowly. It takes time to learn. I have time. I have all the time in the world. Please, teach me. Hana looked back at the camp. Yunyo and the others were busy with survival tasks. They had not noticed the dragon yet. She looked at her journal. At the simple sun symbol she had drawn, she thought about her purpose. She was a linguist, a teacher of language. This was why she came on the colony mission, to build bridges between humans and other species. She just never imagined the bridge would be built with a dragon. All right, Hana said. I'll teach you. But you must promise your people will not hurt my people, I promise. Keth keep promises, always. Then we have a deal. Taejin made a sound that might have been a dragon's laugh. He settled down on the ground in front of Hana. His massive body created a wall of scales between her and the harsh volcanic wind. Where do we start? Hana picked up her pen. She turned to a fresh page, and she began to teach a dragon how to write. Teaching Taejin was nothing like teaching humans. Hana quickly learned that dragons thought in ways completely different from people. When she drew a simple triangle to represent a mountain, Taejin saw it as a frozen moment in time. He saw the mountain forming from volcanic pressure. He saw it eroding over millions of years. He saw past and future and present all at once. No, Hana said patiently. The triangle is just a symbol. It stands for the idea of a mountain. Not a specific mountain, not its history. Just the concept. Taejin's golden eyes blinked slowly. Steam rose from his nostrils as he breathed. But mountains are not just concepts. They are alive. They change. They remember. Yes, but we need simple symbols to start. We build complexity later. The dragon tried to understand. He really did. But his claws were too large for delicate work. When he tried to copy Hana's drawings in the ash, he gouged deep trenches instead of making neat lines. He grew frustrated. Smoke puffed from his nose. It's okay, Hana said. We'll find another way. She looked around the volcanic landscape. Then she had an idea. She pointed to a flat rock face near where they sat. Can you carve into stone? Taejin brightened. Yes, stone is easy. He extended one claw. With surprising delicacy, he etched a line into the rock. It was crude but visible. Hana smiled. Good, stone will work. Your writing will be larger than mine. But size doesn't matter. Meaning matters. They worked for hours. Hana would draw a symbol in her journal. Taejin would carve a larger version into stone. She started with basic shapes. Circle, square, triangle, line, then she moved to pictograms. Simple pictures that represented things. A wavy line for water, a flame shape for fire, a circle with dots for the 3 moons of Dramath. Taejin absorbed everything like a dry sponge in water. His mind was sharp and hungry. He made connections Hana never expected. When she showed him how to combine symbols to create new meanings, he understood immediately. Fire plus water equals steam, he thought excitedly. Mountain plus fire equals volcano. This is beautiful. Yes, Hana said, warmth spreading through her chest. Language is beautiful. But not everyone agreed. On the 5th day of lessons, other dragons arrived. Hana heard them before she saw them. A deep thrumming sound filled the air. Shadows passed overhead. 3 massive shapes circled above, blotting out the orange sky. Taejin tensed. My elders come. Stay behind me. Hana did not need to be told twice. She pressed herself against Taejin's warm scales as the other dragons landed. They were even larger than Taejin. One was covered in deep red scales that looked like dried blood. Another had blue-black scales that seemed to absorb light. The third was the largest. Her scales were silver-white, ancient and scarred. Her eyes held the weight of centuries. The silver dragon spoke. Her mental voice was strong and cold. Taejin, you consort with skyfallers. You waste time with their strange behavior. This is not the way of Keth. Mirai, Taejin said aloud, speaking so Hana could understand. This human is called Hana. She teaches me something wonderful. Something that could change everything for our people. Nothing needs to change, Mirai responded. We are Keth. We have been Keth for 1,000 generations. We speak mind to mind. We share memories perfectly. What could these small creatures possibly teach us? Hana gathered her courage. She stepped out from behind Taejin. 3 pairs of ancient eyes fixed on her. She felt like an ant before gods. But she had to speak. Honored elder, she said, her voice shaking only a little. Taejin told me that your people's memories fade, that the oldest dragons forget, that stories from your ancestors are lost. The red-scaled dragon snorted. Actual fire shot from his nostrils. The weak forget, he growled. The strong remember. It has always been this way, but what if no one had to forget? Hana asked. What if you could preserve memories outside your mind? What if you could share thoughts with dragons not yet born? The blue-black dragon leaned closer. His name was Daehyun. His mental voice was sharp and suspicious. Explain. Hana picked up a stick. She drew in the ash at her feet. She drew a simple symbol. The same sun symbol she had shown Taejin on the first day. This mark means sun. Any dragon who learns this system can look at this mark and know I mean sun. Even if I am not here. Even if I am dead. Even 1,000 years from now. Mirai stared at the symbol. For a long moment she said nothing. Interesting. But we have telepathy. I can share the concept of the sun instantly. No marks needed, yes, Hana agreed. But you must be present. You must be alive. And you can only share with one mind at a time. Writing is different. One dragon can create a message that thousands can read. Across time. Across distance, Taejin stepped forward. He moved to the rock face where he had been practicing. His claws had carved dozens of symbols. Pictures and combinations. A whole vocabulary carved in stone. Look, Taejin thought proudly. I wrote about yesterday. About learning. About thinking. Hana can read my thoughts without me sharing them mentally. Any dragon who learns these marks can do the same. Mirai approached the rock. She studied the carvings. The other elders joined her. They were silent. Hana held her breath. Finally, Mirai spoke. Show me more. Hana's heart soared. She spent the next hour explaining the basics of written language. She showed how symbols could represent sounds. How sounds combined into words. How words built meaning. The dragons listened. They asked questions, hard questions, questions about grammar and syntax that Hana struggled to answer, but Daehyun was not convinced. He paced back and forth, his massive body radiating hostility. This is weakness, he insisted. Writing will make us soft. Why remember when you can simply read? Our minds will grow lazy. Our telepathy will weaken. We will become dependent on marks in stone. Knowledge is never weakness, Hana said firmly. Writing doesn't replace your memories. It supplements them. It preserves what memory cannot. You say this because humans are weak. You cannot share thoughts. You cannot touch minds. So you scratch marks in the dirt like animals. Hana felt anger rise in her chest. But before she could respond, Taejin roared. Actual sound. It shook the ground. It made rocks tumble from the nearby cliffs. Enough. Taejin's mental voice blazed with fury. Hana is my teacher. You will respect her. Or you will answer to me. Daehyun turned to face the younger dragon. For a terrible moment, Hana thought they would fight. She had seen nature documentaries. She knew what animal combat looked like. But this would be worse. These were thinking beings about to tear each other apart over philosophy. Mirai stepped between them. Her presence was commanding. Both dragons backed down. Peace, she commanded. Daehyun raises valid concerns, but Taejin's enthusiasm is not without merit. I propose a test. What kind of test? Hana asked. The eldest of our kind is called Yerim. She is 5,000 years old. She sleeps in the deep caves. Her memory fades. She forgets more each year. Soon all she knows will be lost. Her knowledge of the old ways. The star paths our ancestors followed. The songs of the first Keth. All gone. Mirai looked at Hana with her ancient eyes. If your writing can preserve even a fraction of what Yerim remembers, I will support this endeavor. But if it fails, you will stop teaching. Taejin will return to proper Keth ways. Agreed. Hana looked at Taejin. The dragon nodded encouragement. She took a deep breath. Agreed. The blue-black dragon Daehyun snorted. This will fail. Marks cannot capture the depth of Keth memory. But I will honor Mirai's judgment. The red dragon, who had not spoken much, finally shared his thoughts. His name was Gyeong. I hope you succeed, small human. I too have lost memories. Faces of loved ones. Songs my mother sang. If your marks can save such things, you will have my gratitude. Mirai spread her wings. They blocked out the sky. Tomorrow we take you to the deep caves. You will meet Yerim. You will attempt to write her memories. We shall see if this writing is truly valuable. Or merely a curiosity. The elder dragons took flight. The wind from their wings nearly knocked Hana over. Taejin caught her with his tail. You can do this, he thought. I believe in you. Hana looked at her small journal. At the simple marks on the page. Tomorrow she would face a 5,000-year-old dragon and try to preserve her fading memories. The task seemed impossible, but she had to try. For Taejin, for the Keth, and maybe, just maybe, for the humans who needed these dragons as allies if they were ever going to survive on this harsh volcanic world. She spent the rest of the day creating a more complex writing system, one that could capture not just simple words but complex dragon thoughts. It had to work. Everything depended on it. The deep caves were like nothing Hana had ever seen. Taejin carried her on his back, flying low over the volcanic landscape. Her broken leg made walking impossible, but riding a dragon felt surreal. His scales were warm against her hands. The wind whipped her hair. Below, rivers of lava glowed like veins of light cutting through darkness. They descended into a canyon where the rock walls narrowed. Other dragons joined them. Mirai led the way. Behind her came Daehyun and Gyeong. A dozen more followed, young and old, all curious about the human who claimed she could preserve memories. The cave entrance was massive, wide enough for 3 dragons to enter side by side. Inside, the temperature dropped. The walls glowed with strange blue crystals that provided light. The crystals hummed with a low frequency that Hana felt in her bones. Luminite, Taejin explained. The crystals grow where dragon fire meets certain minerals. They glow for centuries. They're beautiful, Hana whispered. The caves went deep. They passed through chamber after chamber. Some held sleeping dragons curled up like cats. Others were empty except for old bones and shed scales. Hana saw carvings on some walls. Not words, just claw marks, random scratches. Dragons had lived here for thousands of years but had never thought to record their history. Finally, they reached the deepest chamber. It was enormous. The ceiling rose so high that Hana could barely see it. And in the center, on a bed of old volcanic glass, lay Yerim. She was ancient. Her scales had faded from whatever color they once were to a pale gray. Her wings were folded tight against her body. Her eyes were closed. For a moment, Hana thought she was dead. Then the dragon's chest rose and fell. Once, twice, she was sleeping. Or perhaps something deeper than sleep. Grandmother, Mirai called gently. Wake, we bring a visitor. Yerim's eyes opened slowly. They were milky white, nearly blind. Her head lifted with effort. When she spoke, her mental voice was thin and distant. Who comes? I smell something strange. Not Keth, honored elder, Hana said, stepping forward. My name is Hana. I am human. I come from the sky. Human? What is human? I do not remember humans. Mirai moved closer to her grandmother. They are new, grandmother. They arrived recently. This one wishes to help you. Help? I need no help. I am Yerim. I am... The old dragon paused. Confusion crossed her face. I am... Who am I? Hana's heart ached. This magnificent creature was losing herself, memories slipping away like water through fingers. She sat down on the cave floor near Yerim's head. You are Yerim, Hana said softly. You are 5,000 years old. You know things no other dragon knows. And I am here to help you remember. To preserve what you know so it is never lost. Preserve? How can one preserve memory? Hana pulled out her journal. She also brought several large sheets of treated paper that could survive in the cave's damp environment. And ink, special ink that Junho had helped her make from minerals and binding agents. I will write down what you remember. I will create marks that capture your thoughts. Then anyone can read them forever. Yerem blinked her cloudy eyes. Forever is a long time, small one. Yes, but your knowledge deserves to last forever. The old dragon lowered her head until it rested on the ground near Hana. Her breathing was labored. Age and time had worn her down. Very well. Ask your questions. I will try to remember. But my mind is not what it was. Hana opened her journal to a fresh page. Around her, the other dragons settled down to watch. This was the test. If she failed, they would never accept human help. If she succeeded, everything could change. Tell me about the stars, Hana said. Mirai mentioned you know the old star paths. The stars. Yerem's voice grew stronger as if the topic awakened something deep inside her. Yes, I remember the stars. When I was young, younger than Teijin, my mother taught me the paths. The safe ways to fly between worlds. Wait, Hana interrupted. You can travel between worlds? Between planets, of course. All Keth could once. We flew the star paths. We visited other worlds. We were a vast people. But then Yerem faltered. Her eyes closed. But then what happened? I cannot remember. Something bad. Something that made us stop traveling. Made us hide here on Dramath, Hana wrote frantically. Her hand cramped, but she ignored it. This was incredible. Dragons could travel through space naturally. They knew hyperspace routes. This knowledge could save the human colonists. What do you remember about the star paths? How did you navigate? By feeling. By sensing the currents of space. By following the magnetic flows that connect stars. I could show you. If I could still fly. If I could still remember clearly. Describe it to me. Tell me what you saw. What you felt. For the next 4 hours, Yerem talked. Sometimes clearly. Sometimes in fragments. She described star systems humans had never seen. She talked about flying through the dark between worlds. About feeling the pull of gravity wells. About sensing dangerous radiation zones and avoiding them. Hana wrote it all down. When her hand cramped too badly, Teijin took over. He had been watching carefully. He used a claw to etch symbols onto a large flat piece of stone. His writing was rough but readable. He had learned fast. They worked together. Hana would translate Yerem's memories into written words. Teijin would carve permanent records into stone. The other dragons watched in silence. Then Yerem started talking about dragon culture. About the old songs. She began to hum. The sound filled the cave. It was not really a song. It was something deeper. A resonance that made the luminite crystals vibrate. The sound carried meaning. History compressed into melody. I cannot write sound, Hana said desperately. How do I preserve a song? Teijin thought for a moment. Then he began carving symbols in a different pattern. Lines that curved and swirled. He was inventing musical notation for dragon songs. Like this, he explained. This mark means the tone rises. This means it falls. This shows duration. This shows intensity. Hana stared at him. Teijin, that's brilliant. You just invented a way to write music, did I? The dragon sounded pleased. I just thought about how the song feels, how it moves, and I made marks that capture that feeling. Together they recorded 3 ancient songs. Songs that no young dragon had heard in generations. Songs that would have died with Yerem. The old dragon grew tired. Her voice faded. Her eyes closed again. I am tired, small one. So very tired. But I feel lighter, as if a burden has been lifted. My memories are safe now, yes? Yes, Hana promised. Everything you told us is written down. It will last forever. Good. That is good. Yerem drifted back into deep sleep. Her breathing became slow and regular. Hana looked at her papers. At Teijin's carved stones. They had created something remarkable. A record of 5,000 years of dragon knowledge. Mirai approached. She studied the writings carefully. Her tail swished back and forth. Finally she spoke. This is acceptable. More than acceptable. You have done what I thought impossible. You captured not just words but meaning, feeling, history. Daehyun came forward too. He looked at the stones, at the symbols. His expression was hard to read. I still have concerns, he admitted. But I cannot deny what I see. Yerem's knowledge would have died with her. Now it lives on. This writing, it has value. Kyung touched his snout to the stones gently. My mother's name is here. Yerem spoke of her. I had forgotten my mother's name. But now I can read it. Now I can remember. Tears flowed down the red dragon's face. They crystallized as they fell, becoming small red gemstones on the cave floor. Dragon tears were literal jewels. Mirai made a decision. Hana could see it in the way the elder dragon straightened, in the way she spread her wings. Hana of the humans, you have proven yourself. You have given us something precious, something we did not know we needed. I formally recognize you as first teacher of the Keth. You will teach any dragon who wishes to learn. You will help us build a library, a place where all dragon knowledge can be preserved. I accept, Hana said, gladly, and Taejin, you have learned well. You will be first scribe. You will help preserve our history. You will create the great archives. Taejin's eyes shone with joy. I will not fail, grandmother. I promise. Mirai turned to address all the dragons present. From this day forward, writing is not weakness. It is strength. It is how we will preserve our people, our history, our very souls. All young Keth will learn this skill, and we will share our knowledge with the humans. They saved Yerem's memories. We owe them a debt. Daehyun bowed his head in acceptance. Even he could not argue with results. What do you need? Mirai asked Hana. To teach, to build this library. What resources do you require? Hana thought carefully. First, my people need help. We are stranded. We need shelter, food, protection. If the Keth can help us survive, I can dedicate myself to teaching. Done, Mirai said immediately. We will provide. Your people will be safe. Second, I need materials, paper or something like it, tools for writing, and we need to create a proper written language, one that works for both humans and dragons. Taejin stepped forward. I will help. We will make the best writing system in the galaxy, one that can capture all dragon thoughts and human thoughts alike. Hana smiled at her student, her friend. Together they had started something incredible. A revolution of knowledge, a bridge between species. As they left the deep caves, Hana looked back at Yerem one last time. The old dragon slept peacefully. Her memories were safe now, written in stone, preserved forever, and this was only the beginning. The transformation happened faster than anyone expected. Within weeks, the landscape around the human camp changed completely. Dragons arrived every day, not to threaten. To learn, Mirai kept her promise. The Keth provided everything the human colonists needed. They carved shelters into the mountainside using their powerful claws and fire breath. They brought food from distant parts of Dramath where strange plants grew near hot springs. They even helped repair parts of the crashed ship, using their strength to move debris that would have taken humans weeks to clear. In return, Hana taught. And taught. And taught. Her first class had 3 students. Taejin, of course, and 2 young dragons named Bora and Minho. They gathered in a cave that became the first school. Hana stood before massive creatures who could crush her with one careless movement. But they listened to every word. They practiced symbols with intense concentration. Teaching dragons remained challenging. Their minds worked so differently. When Hana taught the concept of past tense, Taejin asked why time needed to be divided at all. Dragons experience time as a fluid thing. Past and future blurred together in their perception. Because when we write, we need to know when something happened. Hana explained. Did it happen yesterday? Last year? 1,000 years ago? The words we use are different. Bora, a small blue dragon barely larger than an elephant, struggled with this. But if I remember something, does the time matter? The memory is present in my mind now. Yes, but others reading your words need context. They need to know the timeline. It took days to explain, but eventually they understood. Dragons might think in non-linear ways, but they could learn linear structures. They could adapt. The class grew. 5 students, then 10, then 20. Young dragons eager to learn. Older dragons curious about this new skill. Even Daehyun attended one session, though he sat in the back and said nothing. Taejin proved to be a natural teacher himself. He helped other dragons understand concepts that Hana could not explain properly. He invented new symbols when existing ones did not work for dragon thoughts. He spent hours carving practice stones for students. But the real breakthrough came when they started the library project. Mirai selected a massive cave system near the human camp. The central chamber was the size of 3 football fields. Smaller chambers branched off in all directions. The walls were made of smooth volcanic rock. Perfect for carving. This will be the Grand Archive, Mirai announced. Here we will preserve all Keth knowledge, history, songs, star paths, everything. Junho and his engineering team helped design the layout. They worked with dragons to create proper shelving carved into the walls. They installed lighting using luminite crystals. They even built a system to protect the carved records from cave-ins or geological shifts. The work was beautiful. Humans and dragons collaborating, learning from each other. Hana watched as Taejin carved the first official entry into the main wall. It was Yerim's star path knowledge, every detail they had recorded. It took him 3 days to complete the carving. When he finished, other dragons gathered to read it. Incredible, Bora breathed. I can see the paths. I can feel them. Even though I never flew them. The writing captures not just information but sensation. That was Taejin's gift. He did not just record facts. He found ways to embed feeling into the symbols. A curve here suggested speed. A sharp angle there implied danger. His writing was art and data combined. More dragons began contributing. Kyung wrote about ancient battles and warrior traditions. Bora documented medicinal plants and healing techniques. Minho, who loved stories, began creating the first dragon fiction. Tales of heroes and adventure that existed only in imagination. You invented creative writing, Hana told Minho, delighted. You're writing stories that never happened. Is that allowed? Minho seemed worried. I thought writing was for true things. Writing is for all things. Truth, fiction, dreams, poetry, all of it has value. The young dragon's eyes lit up. He threw himself into storytelling with passion. Soon other dragons asked to read his stories. They gathered in the library to experience tales carved in stone. A whole new form of entertainment was born. But the most important development was the treaty. 6 months after the crash, Junho approached Hana with a proposal. The surviving colonists had voted. They wanted to establish a permanent settlement on Dramath, to make this world their home, but they needed formal permission from the Keth. Will you translate for us? Unyo asked. Help us negotiate with Mirai? Hana agreed. She brought Taijin to serve as her assistant and cultural advisor. The meeting took place in the Grand Archive. Mirai represented the Keth. Junho represented the humans. Dozens of dragons and humans attended as witnesses. Honored Mirai, Junho began, speaking slowly so Hana could translate. We wish to stay on Dramath, to build our homes here, to live alongside the Keth in peace. What do you require of us? Mirai considered carefully before responding. You have already given us much. Writing, preserved knowledge, new ways of thinking. But if you stay, we must establish rules, boundaries, mutual respect. We agree, Junho said. What do you propose? First, you will not expand beyond the valley where you now live without Keth permission. This planet is large. There is room for both peoples. But expansion must be controlled. Agreed. Second, you will share your technology with us. Not weapons. We need no weapons. But other knowledge, medicine, engineering, science. In return, we will share our knowledge. Star paths, resources, protection. That seems fair. Third, humans who wish to learn dragon culture may do so. Dragons who wish to learn human culture may do so, but no one will be forced. We maintain our separate identities while choosing to cooperate. Junho looked around at the other humans. They nodded their approval. We accept these terms. Let there be peace between Keth and humans. Let there be friendship. Mirai extended one massive claw. Unyo carefully pressed his hand against it. Scale and skin. Ancient and new. Different but equal. It is done. We will write this treaty. Carve it in stone. So all generations remember. And that is exactly what they did. Hana and Taijin spent a week crafting the perfect text. Half in human writing, half in dragon symbols. A hybrid document that both species could read. They carved it onto a massive stone tablet that was installed at the entrance to the Grand Archive. The Treaty of First Contact, it was called. The foundation of everything that came after. As the months passed, the colony thrived. Humans built proper buildings using materials the dragons helped them find. They planted crops in geothermal greenhouses. They established communication with the outside galaxy. A rescue ship was on its way. But most colonists chose to stay anyway. Dramath had become home. Hana's school grew enormous. She had 50 dragon students now. She had to train other humans to help teach. They created a curriculum. Basic literacy, advanced writing, specialized subjects like technical documentation and creative writing. Sora was born during this time. Hana's daughter, the first human child born on Dramath. The dragons were fascinated by the baby. They brought gifts of crystallized dragon tears. They carved protection symbols around the nursery. They promised to watch over her always. Taijin was especially devoted to little Sora. He appointed himself her guardian. "I will protect her as I protect you," he told Hana. "Your family is my family, always." Sora grew up bilingual in a way no human child ever had before. She learned Korean from her mother, English from other colonists, and dragon thought from Taijin. By age 3, she could communicate with dragons mentally. She was a bridge between species in a way even Hana was not. The Grand Archive filled with knowledge, thousands of carvings, hundreds of thousands of words. Dragon history going back millennia, human knowledge brought from Earth, scientific discoveries made through collaboration. Taijin became famous among the Keth. Dragons traveled from distant parts of Dramath to study his carving techniques. He taught them all willingly. The art of writing spread across the planet, but the most moving moment came when Yaram woke one final time. Hana was called to the deep caves. The ancient dragon was dying, her body finally giving out after 5,000 years. But she was conscious, aware, and she had requested the first teacher. Hana came with Taijin and Sora. The little girl was 6 now, old enough to understand. "Small one," Yaram whispered mentally. Her voice was barely a thread. "Are my memories safe?" "Yes, honored grandmother," Hana said, tears in her eyes. "Everything you told us is carved in stone. Your knowledge of the star paths saved my people. We found safe routes home. You gave us that gift. Good. That is good." Yaram's milky eyes found Taijin. "And you, young scribe, did you write much?" "I wrote 40 volumes, grandmother. All because of what you started. All because Hana taught me 40 volumes. I like that number. It feels complete." Yaram's breathing slowed. Sora moved forward and gently touched the dragon's nose. The little girl sent waves of love and gratitude through the mental connection. "Thank you, ancient mother, for your wisdom, for your kindness." Yaram made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Such a bright child. The future is safe with ones like her. I can rest now." The old dragon closed her eyes. Her final breath came out as a soft sigh. And then she was still. Dragons across Dramath felt her passing. They sang the death song, a telepathic chorus that echoed for 7 days. Even humans felt it. A pressure in the air, a sense of something vast departing. They did not bury Yaram. Dragon custom said the Dia 30 years passed like water flowing over stone, slow but constant, changing everything. Hana was 57 now. Her broken leg had healed long ago but left her with a slight limp. Gray streaked her hair. Lines marked her face, but her mind remained sharp. And her purpose never wavered. The Grand Archive had grown beyond anything she imagined. It now contained over 100,000 carved records. Dragon history, human history, scientific discoveries, works of art, poetry, philosophy, technical manuals, star charts, medical texts. Everything worth knowing. Young dragons and young humans studied together now. It was normal, natural. Children like Sora had never known a time when the two species were separate. They simply saw friends, companions, fellow beings. Sora herself was 30 years old, a brilliant linguist like her mother. But she had taken the work further. She created a true hybrid language, a way of speaking that combined human words with dragon mental concepts. She could communicate things in this language that were impossible in either tongue alone. She taught at the school now, standing where her mother once stood. Dragons gathered around her just as they had gathered around Hana 3 decades before. Taijin had grown too. Not much physically. Dragons age slowly, but mentally and emotionally, he had become something extraordinary. He was no longer just first scribe. He was keeper of the archive, historian, teacher, philosopher. His writings were studied across Dramath. Some called him the wisest Keth to ever live. But he still thought of himself as Hana's student, her friend, her family. They sat together in the archive one evening. Hana was reviewing Taijin's latest work, a comprehensive history of the Keth-Human Alliance. It was his masterpiece. 10,000 symbols carved across 3-chamber walls. It's beautiful, Hana said softly. You captured everything. The struggle, the hope, the transformation. I learned from the best, Teijin thought warmly. Everything I am, I owe to you. No. You were always brilliant. I just gave you the tools. You gave me more than tools. You gave me purpose, meaning, a way to preserve beauty and truth. That is everything. Hana looked around the archive. So many dragons worked here now. Carving, reading, discussing. The place buzzed with intellectual energy. It was a university. A museum, a library. All in one. Do you remember that first day? She asked. When you asked me to teach you? I remember every detail. You were afraid. I was curious. Neither of us knew what we were starting. I thought I was just teaching one dragon to write. I never imagined this. That is the nature of teaching. You plant seeds. You cannot control how they grow. A young dragon named Yunbi approached them. She was Teijin's newest student. Talented but impatient. Master Teijin, I finished the assignment. Will you review it? Teijin stood and walked to where Yunbi had been working. Hana followed. The young dragon had carved a poem into stone. It was about flying. About the feeling of wind under wings. About freedom and joy. Teijin studied it carefully. Then he pointed to a section with his claw. Here. This symbol suggests speed, but your poem is about peaceful gliding. Use the softer curve instead. Feel the difference? Yunbi's eyes widened. Yes, that's exactly what I meant but could not express. Writing is precision. Every mark matters. Every curve and line carries meaning. Revise this section. Make it perfect. The young dragon hurried off to make corrections. Hana smiled. You sound like me. From the old days. Good, you taught me well. Now I pass it on. That is how knowledge survives. Teacher to student. Generation to generation. But not everything was peaceful study and artistic growth. Trouble came in the 30th year of the Alliance. The attack happened at dawn. Ships appeared in Dramath's sky. Not human ships. Something else. Something hostile. They were called the Vorak, a warrior species that conquered worlds. They had tracked the human colonists' distress signals from 30 years ago. They expected to find weak survivors. Easy prey. Resources to plunder. Instead, they found Dramath. Protected by dragons, the Vorak landed with weapons ready. Their soldiers marched toward the human settlement. They broadcast their intentions clearly. Surrender or die. Give up all resources. Submit to Vorak rule. They never expected the response they got. Mirai was ancient now, nearly as old as Yaram had been. But she could still fly, could still breathe fire. When the Vorak soldiers approached, she landed before them. One dragon against an army. Leave, she commanded. Her mental voice was iron. This world is protected. The Kethan humans are allied. Harm one and you face all. The Vorak commander laughed. He raised his weapon. You are animals. Beasts. You do not frighten us. Mirai's eyes narrowed. Then you are fools. The sky darkened. Hundreds of dragons appeared. Young and old. Large and small. They descended like a living storm. Daehyun led the warriors. He was still strong despite his age. Still fierce. Final warning, Daehyun roared. Leave peacefully or leave as ash. The Vorak opened fire. Their weapons were powerful. Energy beams that could punch through starship hulls. But dragon scales were tougher. The beams bounced off, scattered, did nothing. The dragons responded with fire. Real fire. Ancient fire that burned hotter than any human weapon. The Vorak soldiers screamed. They tried to retreat. Too late. The battle lasted 17 minutes. When it was over, half the Vorak were dead. The other half were captured. Their ships were disabled, pulled down from the sky by dragons who flew through space as easily as through air. The Vorak commander was brought before Mirai. He knelt in chains. His armor was scorched. His pride was broken. Please, he begged. Mercy, we did not know. We thought this world was undefended. You thought wrong, Mirai said coldly. You came to conquer, to enslave, to destroy. Now you will serve. You will work to rebuild what you damaged, and you will tell your people what happens to those who threaten Dramath. The commander nodded frantically. He would agree to anything to survive. Hana watched from a distance. She had never seen dragons in true battle before. It was terrifying. Beautiful. Proof that her friends were not gentle scholars alone. They were predators, ancient and deadly, but they used that power to protect, not to conquer. That made all the difference. After the battle, Teijin found Hana. She was shaking. The violence had disturbed her. "Are you afraid of us now?" Teijin asked quietly. "Afraid of what we can do?" "No," Hana said honestly. "I'm grateful. You protected us, protected everything we built together. We protect what we love. You taught me that writing preserves beauty. But sometimes we must fight to protect beauty. Both are necessary, I know. I just never wanted to see you hurt. Any of you. We are harder to hurt than you think, and we heal. But this attack proves something. The galaxy knows about Dramath now. Others will come. Some friendly, some hostile. We must be ready." Mirai called a council, dragons and humans together. They discussed defense, diplomacy, the future. "We should join the Galactic Coalition," Junho suggested. He was older now, too. Still sharp. Still practical. "Get formal protection. Trade agreements, recognition. Will they accept dragons?" Dahyun asked. "Or will they see us as animals?" "They'll see you as equals," Sora said firmly. "Because I'll make them see it. Let me be our ambassador. I speak both languages. I understand both cultures. I can make them understand." Mirai approved. "Yes. Sora, daughter of Hana, raised among Keth. You will represent us well." Sora left Dramath 6 months later. She traveled to the Coalition capital, a massive space station where hundreds of species gathered. She presented the case for Keth-Human Alliance recognition. It took 3 years. 3 years of negotiations, arguments, demonstrations of dragon intelligence and culture. But finally, the Coalition agreed. Dramath was recognized. The Keth were acknowledged as a sentient species. The alliance was official. Trade began. Dragons shared their knowledge of hyperspace routes. Humans shared technology. Dramath became prosperous, a crossroads of culture and commerce. But the heart of everything remained the Grand Archive. Hana was 70 now. Her body was failing. She knew her time was ending. But she had one final task. She wrote her own history, the complete story of how she met Teijin, how they created the written language, how 2 species learned to trust each other. It took her 6 months. Every detail, every emotion, every lesson learned, Teijin carved it into stone beside Yerim's memorial. He worked with tears streaming down his face, because he knew what this was. A goodbye. When the carving was complete, Hana touched it gently. "Now I'm immortal too," she said with a weak smile. "My words will outlive me. Your words will last until the stars grow cold," Teijin promised. "And I will make sure no one forgets. You were the first teacher, the one who changed everything." Hana died 3 weeks later, peacefully, surrounded by family, human and dragon alike. The funeral was massive. Thousands attended, dragons and humans, coalition ambassadors from across the galaxy. They came to honor the woman who built a bridge between species. Teijin sang the death song, his voice carried across Dramath. Through space, other dragons joined. The song lasted 7 days, a telepathic symphony of grief and gratitude. They made Hana's ashes into a statue beside Yerim's. 2 teachers, 2 revolutionary minds, forever together in stone. Sora took over as head of the archive. She was brilliant, compassionate, everything her mother was and more. But Teijin remained. He would always remain, because he had made a promise. To protect Hana's family. To preserve what they BD returned T.